Jeannie, I would love to start with you, and maybe you could begin by taking us back to before you actually started using Remento, and perhaps you can share with us a bit about what made you interested in the first place in documenting your mom's stories.
Thank you, Charlie. And it was really nice watching you give the background on all of your story of wanting the life story of your mom put into a book, because that's kind of the same journey I have been on. I originally got my dad's story written into a book using StoryWorth, and it had been a very long process, to be honest with you, where I had to send a prompt to my dad. My dad would type it up. I'd have to proofread it, blah, 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 all that. And my journey of looking for Remento started because I wanted to share my mom's life story. My mom has low vision, and
Mhm.
my mom was not going to be able to type. And so I started looking for a product that would help me remember all of her stories. And I was so thankful to find Remento, because my mom's stories are now being uh, written down, but she doesn't need to write them. And it is so user friendly, absolutely user friendly. I'm able to send her the prompt. She sits down, she records. We use an iPhone, so we can do this anywhere, and we do it anywhere. So we don't need a computer. With when I was doing my dad's book, we needed a computer to send it to him, and he had to type it up and everything like that. But I was so happy when I found Remento, because my mom's story is now written down. We're still in the process of finishing her book. But the inside, I was sharing a story with you earlier that my dad, a story we asked my dad was, how did he meet my mom? He was set up by his roommate. He talked about her sending him, she sent him cookies afterwards. That was the story. But that was all we heard. She sent him cookies. My mom's story, when she talked about, because Remento, the questions are so clever and they really make you think. And the story my mom shared was really about sending my dad cookies. That's how she got my dad. She talked about that. And Remento is so incredible that my mom does the audio. She spoke, into the audio, and within seconds the story was written up, and the title was the Cookie Connection. And it's just amazing. It's so easy to use. And uh, because of Remento, my mom's story is going to be told. Priceless.
Mhm.
That's a priceless gift. Priceless.
Mhm. Yeah. The irony being, it was a gift that you purchased for her,
I
and
purchased for her.
and in reality, perhaps the greatest gift is actually what she is providing for you and to your family.
Yes. Yes. Very powerful.
It's so exciting to hear a perspective from a host, uh, Jeannie. In your case, I'd love to invite Katie to come into the conversation, who brings a different perspective as a Remento storyteller. And Katie, I'd love to ask you, before you received Remento as a gift from Kate, was documenting your memories and your stories something you had ever thought about before?
Absolutely. And just like Jeannie, I had actually thought for my husband to buy the one that you had to type. I explained it to him, and he was at the time was not retired. He didn't have buku time. He said, absolutely not. I don't have time for all that typing. So we just canned the idea. And I think somehow they got together this past July for a significant birthday of mine and bought it for me. And I don't have anything. My mother died like you, Charlie, when I was 7. I'm scrambling and scratching for anything of her. And it's not just, about her, but also who was she? And
Mm.
your product, Remento, is so easy. Of course, I love sitting down there and talking. I do like to make myself look a little better, not just in my pajamas. So it does take me a while sometimes, but I love Wednesdays. Wednesdays, it's like Remento Day. And so we have stories that we've heard from other grandparents Not mine. They passed away before I was born, but my husband's. We tried to video them with an old video camera, but I have no idea where those are. And so when I got this present, I said, oh my gosh, it's so important that I tell my children and now my 8.5 grandchildren
Mm.
fun things I did when I was a child and climbing up in the tree when I knew I should be doing chores, kind of the bad side, the naughty side of me. They see me as the perfect mom and the perfect grandmother and, the perfect wife, but there was a little naughty side. And I went up with Nancy Drew books and dried apricots in the tree house and spent the day up there and got out of doing any chores and fun memories of my childhood, fun things. And your product is so easy for me because it does take what I say and it does clean it up a little bit. As you know, I kind of ramble. So I need that precision. But your support team has been great because in the
Mm.
beginning, I was all over the place and they were so kind and talked me through it. And now you do it over and over again. So it's not like, okay, I learned that. Now I have to learn something new. You do it and then you do it again, and then they support you and they bring you into the process. And pretty soon it becomes second nature. But I want to hear my relatives' voices. Like you said, Troy, I want my voice to be recorded. I want them to hear it. That's what I miss most about my relatives and the stories they tell. And I think our traditions are so important. That's why they are traditions. And
Mm.
sometimes I'll tell my children something about a tradition or a person in my family and something about them. And my children will say, no, Mom, that's not how it happened. And they'll tell me their version of what they thought had happened. And I say, all this time, this is what you thought. So now I can get down the story and its accuracy about our traditions, our family. And it makes me feel like our family is important, two sides of the family.
Mm.
You have a mother and you have a father. But besides the fun childhood memories that they're asking me about, I also want them to know who I am. Who am I? I was a child. I was a sister. I am a sister. I'm a mother, wife, a mother, and now I'm a grandmother. And I want them to know who I am as a person. And now I'm getting out of telling all the childhood stories, which some of the children had no idea about. And if they did, it was wrong. And so now I'm clearing that up. But I'm also telling them my beliefs. I'm
Mm.
telling them what I stand for. I'm telling them that life is hard. And I'm trying to give them tools that they can grab onto after I'm gone. And they can maybe make it through some hard lessons. So I'm kind of
Mm.
on the second part of my book. I just got it in July. And I'm trying now to tell them today I recorded why I'm so proud of my children, my adult children, and what did
Mm.
they do professionally that makes me so proud. I think when we get together, especially if you live in different cities, when you get together, it's like, hey, tell me what's going on in the present. What have you
Mm.
been doing? How's school? And I'm not going to go, oh, well, let me tell you about my values, or let me tell you the story from the past. And so this way I can record it in my convenience, and also they can listen to it in their own convenience. And maybe they might want to rewind it and hear it again
Mm.
rather than hear it in a busy time where we're trying to get dinner on the table, or it's taking too much time, Mom. What do you want to say? So
Mm.
this way I can record it, they can listen to it, and I can remind them now of how proud I am of them, but also how hard I worked to get where I was and my
Mhm.
accomplishments. But also, I'm really proud, Charlie, to tell them that I have values, I have beliefs, I have morals, and, you know, there's some tough stuff going on out there in the world. And I want to give them hope and give them tools that they can make it through. So as a grandmother and a mother, I love this present. It's just
Mm.
fabulous. And I love being able to put the pictures with it. It's making me go through some family albums and shooting some pictures.
It's hard to have a conversation about your values on a random Tuesday night, I would think, or in our case,
At a birthday party,
at a birthday
a
party.
40th.
Yeah. And I love the idea, Katie, that um, you're creating something for the future for them, which will be a way of creating a legacy around these values. But what I heard you say is that the recordings that you're creating are teaching them things about who you are today in ways that are perhaps changing elements of your relationship and the way you see them and perhaps the way they see you. So, Jeannie, I'd be curious to know, as you've used Remento with your mom, what, if anything, has changed about either the way you see her, the way she sees you, or the greater kind of family dynamic?
Well, as Katie was saying, you learn so much as you listen to the stories. And again, my mom is the storyteller and I'm the one who gave her the gift. So as the storyteller tells their stories, as the host, you get to hear all the things. And you're right, Katie, at times, maybe the story, how I heard it, was not exactly what it really was. So there's friends I've learned about my mom that I didn't realize. I mean, she had a couple other friends that they went to camp together, they traveled together, things like that that I've got to learn about. I've got to get to know better. Um, there's adventures she did as kids. There was one story that one question that I loved that versus, tell me about your childhood. The question on Remento was, if you were to give a tour of the town you grew up in your childhood, where would you take people? What places would you go? Such a great question. Because instead of just, I went to that school, my mom talked about a park. My mom talked about a cul-de-sac where they rode bikes. My mom talked about a tree that during the hot days in Omaha, Nebraska, they'd sit under this tree. I mean, it's all these things that it's so much more. The stories are so much more, and you learn so much more. So yes, I've heard the stories or stories I've heard before, but they're now more in depth.
Yeah.
Priceless. Priceless.
Yeah. And Jeannie, you mentioned briefly earlier that your mom struggles with low vision and how the spoken element of Remento proved to be really important for her in terms of being able to get these stories preserved. Can you share a little bit more about what her experience was like learning how to use the product and ultimately getting comfortable doing so?
Well, everyone on this call saw how easy it is to use. It's quite simple. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's literally pushing a button. For my mom, I send her a prompt. She pushes the button. She normally does audio. I will get her to do a video at some point.
Yeah.
Pushes the button, and 3, 2, 1, and we're off to the races. So for her, it's so easy to use. And again, we've always done it on her iPhone, and she just will sit there and talk into her iPhone. And like Katie also mentioned, my mom can talk, and I say just talk the way and tell the story because Remento cleans it up, right? Remento cleans it up.
Thank God, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. And the beauty of it is it's cleaned up within seconds.
And you can choose how much cleaning up you want. And then I can actually go back in and actually edit the old fashioned backspace out. It's easy to clean it up. And sometimes I think their version's better than mine. So I leave it.
Well, you know what it is, as my mom will say, my mom every time will do the recording and then I'll read what Remento has done and she'll say, Remento caught the essence of what I was trying to say.
It's true.
And it's consistent pretty much every time.
Yes.
Always catching the essence.
Yes.
Of what I'm trying to say. So it's amazing. It's an amazing.
And no typing. And I've done journaling for those of you who say, well, I don't really need Remento because I do journaling. A lot of people don't want to sit down and read your handwriting and what you did and blah, blah, blah. This, they can listen to it immediately. And then they have the book to keep, and at their leisure, they can read it. And the other day, I answered the prompt, what was my biggest accomplishment in life. And I went through telling them how I went through a lot of steps and juries to become a fine art major in vocal music. And it was a long process. And they had no idea. They said, Mom, we listened to it. You sent it. So they got it immediately. They don't always listen to it immediately. But one of them said, I had no idea it took that long to be a voice major. I thought you just got on the stage and sang. And so I explained that part, and they were just like, oh, it gives me respect. That's all I can say is I feel they know more about me as a person and some of the struggles I've gone through and the happy times and the childhood memories. And they go back to my childhood home. They see the tree. They see the creek. They see my best friend, Lynn. And I think they're kind of putting it all together.
So beautifully said, Katie. We have time for one more question that I'll ask to both of you. You two have been so amazing and, again, generous with your time. We have hundreds of people who are on this call. Some of them are storytellers, some are hosts, some are collaborators, and some are thinking about using Remento in their family. Katie, I'd like to ask you first, what's a piece of advice that you would have for someone who is just getting started using Remento with their family?
Stick with it. Don't give up. It is the easiest, and it's just think of the future and what legacy you are leaving to your family. And there's no price you can put on a legacy that you're leaving. And it's an exact legacy. It's your face, your expressions, your voice, and your stories. Stick with it. Do it.
Beautifully said. How about you, Jeannie? A piece of advice that you would have for someone considering using Remento with their family?
It is a priceless gift that you give to the storyteller, that you give to yourself, and you give to generations to come. What we all wouldn't give to hear our grandparents or great-grandparents, what we all wouldn't give to learn more about someone that we loved who passed away. It is priceless. Do it. Get it written down. Do it through Remento. It's simple. And also with Remento, with that QR code, not only are you preserving the written word, you're hearing the voice or seeing the video. Priceless.
Well,
Thank you, Charlie, and your co-founders. Thank you all for being the brilliant minds that you are to come up with this. Thank you so much.
We so appreciate you saying that. A big virtual round of applause from around the world for our two amazing panelists, Jeannie and Katie. We are so thankful to have had you here today. We deeply appreciate you making the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie.